What is this handheld metal device? It features a series of 8 small levers or dials, each with numbers next to them. It feels like a mechanical tally counter, but the specific number of levers is unusual. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a cricket umpire's counter. It's a mechanical device designed to help the official keep an accurate record of the game's progress. In cricket, a bowler delivers a set of 6 balls, which is called an over. This 8-lever model is quite comprehensive. One lever is used to count each of the 6 balls in the current over. Another lever tracks the total number of overs that have been completed, and a final lever counts the number of wickets, or outs, that the batting team has lost. This tool allows the umpire to focus on the action without having to memorize the state of the game. I found this with my feet while helping my grandpa walk into the bay in Jamesport. It's a small green glass object, about 3 inches long. The base is 1.5 inches wide, and the top has threads for a cap that seems to be missing. Does anyone know what it is? This is the body of a uranium glass salt or pepper shaker, missing its screw-on top. Uranium glass, also known as Vaseline glass, was most popular from the 1880s through the 1930s. Glassmakers would add a small amount of uranium dioxide to the glass mixture before melting. This additive gives the glass its distinct greenish-yellow color and, more famously, causes it to fluoresce a brilliant, vivid green under an ultraviolet or black light. Production largely ceased by the 1940s when uranium supplies were controlled for military use during World War II. I found this brightly colored cable outside next to my utility boxes. A fiber technician was here last week to repair a cut line, so I think it might be related to their work. My cat seems very interested in it. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a fiber optic jumper. Technicians use these short, flexible cables to connect the main fiber line from the street to the equipment inside a building or a patch panel. It functions as a short extension cord, but for light signals instead of electricity. The bright colors, typically yellow or aqua, are industry standards that help workers quickly identify the specific type of single-mode or multi-mode fiber. The technician who repaired your service likely used this for testing or simply left it behind by accident after completing the job. These were part of my grandparents' things after they passed. I've had them in a drawer for years and recently rediscovered them. They appear to be old etchings, and I noticed they have small numbers printed in the corners. Does anyone know what they are? These appear to be etchings by the influential artist Jacques Callot. Callot was a Baroque printmaker from the Duchy of Lorraine, living from 1592 to 1635. He was known for creating series of prints depicting everything from military conflicts to courtly life. The numbers in the corners are a key detail. Callot often numbered the prints within a series to indicate their order. While genuine Callot etchings can be valuable, their worth depends heavily on condition and proper authentication, as many reproductions were also made over the centuries. I was looking through my grandmother's collection of pins, which are mostly from political campaigns, but this one stood out. It features an early version of the Apple logo, but the text for the word Apple is in a very distinct retro font. It doesn't seem like a standard company pin. Does anyone know what it is? This is a promotional pin for Apple Logo, a programming language that ran on the Apple II computer platform. Released in the late 1970s, Apple Logo was a significant educational tool that introduced an entire generation of students to the fundamentals of computer programming. Users would write commands to control a turtle on the screen to draw graphics. The font on the pin is the Mater Textura typeface, which Apple used for its branding and products during that specific era, making this pin a distinct artifact from the early days of personal computing. I moved into my house about 1.5 years ago, and this object was left in my bedroom closet. During a weekend cleanout, I finally decided to figure out what it is. It's made of a fairly thick plastic and has grooves in the bottom, which makes me think it fits into something larger. Does anyone know what it is? This object is a modular drawer organizer. It's designed to be part of a larger, customizable system. The grooves on the bottom are the key feature. They allow it to interlock with other similar trays or snap into a specific drawer liner. This mechanism lets the user create custom-sized compartments for organizing small items like socks, office supplies, or utensils. These are typically sold in sets, which explains why finding a single orphaned piece like this can be confusing, as its function as part of a system isn't immediately obvious. What is this T-shaped object? It has the consistency of a mousepad and features an adhesive backing, suggesting it's meant to be stuck onto something. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a T-shaped heel grip, an insert specifically designed for high-heel shoes. Its purpose is to improve both comfort and fit. The adhesive backing allows it to be placed on the inside back of a shoe. The wide, horizontal part of the T provides a soft cushion against the Achilles tendon, preventing the shoe's edge from rubbing and causing blisters. The vertical stem of the T extends down into the shoe, adding grip to help keep the wearer's heel from slipping out and to reduce the foot from sliding forward. I got this tin at an antique store for $1.50. The brand is Meloids, but I have no idea what it is or when it's from. It's a small, simple metal container. Does anyone know what it is? This is a tin for Meloids, which were medicated pastilles, or throat lozenges, produced by the British company Boots Pure Drug Company. While the tin itself doesn't have a printed date, it can be dated very accurately based on a specific detail. The key is the royal warrant, represented by the royal coat of arms. Boots was granted this warrant by King George VI in 1938, allowing them to display the crest on their products. This means your tin was manufactured sometime after that year. I found this while decluttering the bathroom in my childhood home. My first thought was that it was some kind of dehumidifier, maybe used when we were children. I can't remember what it was for. Does anyone know what it is? This object is actually the opposite of a dehumidifier. It's a vaporizer, a type of warm mist humidifier. These devices were extremely common in homes, particularly for pediatric care. The main basin is filled with water, and an internal heating element boils it, creating a steady flow of steam. The warm, moist air released into the room helps soothe sore throats and relieve nasal congestion from colds or coughs. Finding it in a childhood bathroom is a strong indicator that it was used to help someone breathe easier during an illness. My elderly mother-in-law gave these out with chocolates, but she has no idea what they are. They are black, slightly flexible squares, about 2 by 2 inches with a single hole through the middle. We're completely stumped. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a set of underarm silicone graphite electrodes. They are a component for a dermatory iontophoresis machine, a medical device used to treat hyperhidrosis, the condition of excessive sweating. The process is quite direct. A user soaks the electrode pads in tap water and places them under their arms. The machine then passes a mild electrical current through the water. This current carries mineral particles into the sweat glands, creating a temporary blockage that significantly reduces sweating. These electrodes are consumable and are often replaced, which is likely why a spare set was found separately from the main device. I found this unopened jar of Nutella in the garage. The expiration date says March 2026, so it shouldn't be bad, but the top has formed a solid white layer. Does anyone know what it is? This is not a sign of spoilage. What you are seeing is a common physical process called fat separation and recrystallization. Nutella contains a significant amount of palm oil, which is a saturated fat that remains solid at typical room temperature. Over time, and especially when exposed to temperature fluctuations like those in a garage, the oil can slowly separate from the cocoa and sugar solids, rise to the top, and then cool down and solidify again. This forms the hard, white layer you see. The spread is still safe to eat, and the oil can be stirred back in. I found this metal spike at the bottom of a cliff in Eastbourne, in the United Kingdom. It weighs 138 grams, so it's much heavier than it looks. It seems designed to go through something. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is an old lead fishing weight. Its weight of 138 grams is just under 5 ounces, a very common size for sea fishing from a shore or cliff. This pointed shape, often called a bomb or torpedo sinker, is designed to be aerodynamic for long-distance casting and to sink quickly through strong currents. The top portion, which would have held a steel eyelet for attaching the fishing line, has completely rusted away, leaving just the dense lead body behind. What is this small, round metal piece, about the size of a quarter? It resembles a lock washer, but the hole in the center is oval and star-shaped, not round. Does anyone know what it is? It's a push-on fastener, also known as a star washer or a push nut. Unlike a regular nut, which requires a threaded bolt, this is designed to be forced onto a smooth, unthreaded rod or shaft. The inward-facing prongs inside the star-shaped opening are angled. When the fastener is pushed on, these prongs flex to slide over the shaft. However, if you try to pull it back, the sharp edges of the prongs dig into the shaft's surface, creating a firm grip that prevents it from coming off. It's a simple, low-cost way to permanently attach wheels or other parts onto axles. I found this in my basement. I was pretty sure it was a paper cutter because I used to have a roommate who was a printmaker. But when I inspected the cutting arm, there's no blade. It's just an empty slot where the sharp edge should be. Does anyone know what it is? It's exactly what you thought it was. A guillotine-style paper cutter, just with its blade removed. The heavy steel blades on these cutters are designed to be taken off for professional sharpening or replacement. It's not uncommon to find the base separated from the blade, as the blade might have been stored elsewhere for safety, or discarded after becoming too chipped or worn down to be effective. My boss and I are completely stumped by this object. We're using a phone for scale, and it appears to be made of a thin, shaped metal. It looks like it's designed to clip onto something, but we can't figure out its purpose. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a bookmark and page holder. While it functions as a normal bookmark to save your place, its primary design is to hold a book open for you. The tension in the metal allows it to slide over a chunk of pages on one side, keeping the book from closing. This is especially useful for musicians reading sheet music, students studying textbooks, or cooks following a recipe, allowing for hands-free reading. I had this soup in Japan 2 years ago and never figured out what it was. It was served with an omuris and had a distinctly sweet flavor with a thicker, more viscous consistency than a typical broth. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a classic Japanese comfort food known as corn potage soup. This is a prime example of yoshoku, a category of Western-style food that has been adapted for the Japanese palate. The soup is typically made by pureeing corn with milk or cream, which creates its signature sweet flavor and smooth, thick texture. It became widely popular in Japan following World War II and is now a staple in family restaurants, often served alongside dishes like omuris or hamburger steak. It's so ubiquitous that it's even sold in heated cans from vending machines during the colder months. I found this at a yard sale and hope to test it out, but I'm not sure what these components are, especially the connector. It looks like it's for an older computer. Does anyone know what it is? This is a female 9-pin serial port, technically known as a DB9 connector. Standardized as part of the RS-232 communication protocol, this port was introduced by IBM on its PC-AT model in 1984. For over a decade, it was the primary way to connect peripherals like mice, keyboards, modems, and printers. The port functions by transmitting data serially, 1 bit at a time over a single connection. This interface was made obsolete by the introduction of the Universal Serial Bus, or USB, which became common in the late 1990s. To connect this to a modern computer, you would need a serial to USB adapter. I found this hard plastic item after buying a used couch. There's some lettering on it, but it's too worn down to read clearly. It's empty and doesn't seem to do anything. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is an empty dispenser for a limited edition Coca-Cola flavored Tic Tac. In 2019, the parent company Ferrero partnered with the Coca-Cola Company for this special release. The promotion was a global success but was only available for a few months in most markets. The plastic case you found was designed to mimic the shape and branding of a Coca-Cola product, but years of being lost in a couch have likely faded the iconic red and white logo, making it difficult to identify. What is this device connected to a propane tank seen on Google Maps Street View? It was spotted at the U.S. Customs and Border Protection crossing near Skagway, Alaska. It doesn't look like a heater or a generator. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a large-scale mosquito control device, often called a mosquito trap or magnet. This machine is designed to attract and capture biting insects over a large area, such as an acre or more. It works by burning propane to create a continuous plume of carbon dioxide, heat, and water vapor. These are the primary attractants that mosquitoes use to locate mammals to bite. When the mosquitoes fly close to the source of the plume, a powerful internal fan creates a vacuum, sucking them into a net where they dehydrate and die. Given the intense mosquito season in Alaska, these units are essential for protecting staff at locations like a border crossing. I found this mysterious powder in an old Gerber baby food jar while going through some tool-related things. It has a lightly iridescent sheen and is not magnetic. My first guess was some kind of graphite. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is almost certainly powdered graphite, a type of dry lubricant. Graphite is a form of carbon where the atoms are arranged in sheets. These sheets can slide over one another with very little friction, which gives the powder its characteristically slippery feel when rubbed between the fingers. Unlike oil or grease, graphite is a dry lubricant, so it doesn't attract dust, dirt, or debris. This makes it ideal for use in delicate mechanisms like pin tumbler locks, clockwork, and precision tools, which explains why it was found with other workshop items. I received this in an Odd Bunch subscription box, and it has me completely stumped, which is strange because I thought I was well versed in fruits and vegetables. It's a small purplish item that was wrapped in plastic. Does anyone know what it is? What you have is a purple passion fruit, known scientifically as Passiflora edulis. Native to southern Brazil, Paraguay, and northern Argentina, this fruit is prized for its unique tropical flavor. The tough outer rind protects the aromatic jelly-like pulp inside, which is filled with edible, crunchy black seeds. The proper way to eat it is to cut it in half and scoop the pulp out with a spoon. Its distinct sweet and tart taste is often used in juices, desserts, and cocktails. The wrinkled exterior, which might be why it was included in an Odd Bunch box, is actually a key indicator of ripeness and not a sign of spoilage. My stepsister bought this for me a while ago. I think it's super cute, but I have no idea what it's for. I'm assuming it's a soap dish, but since there isn't a hole to drain excess water, I'm not so sure. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a ceramic cracker dish. These specialized dishes are designed to neatly present crackers, often as part of a larger cheese or appetizer spread. The lack of drainage holes is the key feature distinguishing it from a soap dish. It's made exclusively for serving dry foods. While less common now, dedicated serving pieces for specific items like crackers, celery, or olives were very popular in the mid-20th century for formal hosting. I found this framed photograph at a Goodwill in Dallas. It's a simple black and white portrait of a young man, but there was no name attached to it. I felt like I had seen his face before online. Does anyone know who this is? This is a photo of Justin Clovis. He became an internet figure around 2013 after a different picture of him holding a sign was turned into a popular meme. In the original image, Clovis was promoting his band, but the sign was frequently edited by others to display humorous messages, often with the caption, "Looking for a girlfriend." The meme format spread widely across social media and forums. Sadly, Justin Clovis passed away in 2017, making finds like this a somber reminder of the real person behind a viral image. I recently bought a used car and found these in the trunk. There are 4 identical pieces and each one weighs a very specific 164.2 grams. They feel solid and well made. Does anyone know what they are? What you found are Tesla lifting pucks, also known as jack pads. Unlike cars with internal combustion engines, a Tesla's chassis contains a large, flat, high-voltage battery pack along the underside. Attempting to lift the vehicle with a standard hydraulic jack can put direct pressure on this battery, risking a puncture and catastrophic damage. To prevent this, Tesla designed specific, reinforced lift points into the car's frame. These pucks are inserted into those points, acting as a safe spacer between the lift arm and the chassis, ensuring that all the force is applied only to the structural frame and never to the battery casing itself. When I was growing up, my grandfather had two of these next to his wood stove. I always thought they were just decorative cast iron pieces, but I recently discovered the sides come off. This makes me wonder if they had a specific purpose. Does anyone know what these are supposed to be? These are indeed purely decorative stove-side accents. The removable panels, while suggesting a function, are actually a result of cost-effective manufacturing. Casting a hollow, ornate box as a single piece is complex. It was far cheaper and easier to cast the detailed side panels flat and then assemble the box. While some might use them to store potpourri, the lack of ventilation holes means they weren't designed for it, as the scent would be trapped. Their sole intended purpose was to add a traditional aesthetic to the fireplace area. I found this on a beach. It has the clear grain and shape of a piece of driftwood, but it's incredibly heavy and as hard as a rock. My first thought was petrified wood. Does anyone know what it is? Your guess is correct. This is a piece of petrified driftwood. The transformation happens through a process called permineralization. For this to occur, the wood must be rapidly buried in sediment like sand or silt, which prevents decay by cutting off oxygen. Over millions of years, water rich in dissolved minerals, such as silica, seeps into the wood. These minerals slowly crystallize and replace the original organic fibers, perfectly preserving the cellular structure, which is why the wood grain is still visible. Finding it on a beach suggests it was eroded from ancient sedimentary rock formations, either on the coast or offshore. In the classic film Funny Girl, which takes place during the 1910s and 20s, the character Fanny Brice is seen celebrating with a distinctively green and bubbly alcoholic drink. Given the time period, many viewers have wondered what this specific beverage is supposed to be. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a crème de menthe highball, or fizz. The key ingredient, crème de menthe, is a sweet, mint-flavored liqueur first created in France by Émile Giffard in 1885. It gained significant popularity in the United States during the early 20th century. Its bright green color and potent flavor made it a common choice for cocktails, especially during Prohibition, as it could effectively mask the harsh taste of low-quality bootleg spirits. To make the drink bubbly, as seen in the film, the liqueur would have been mixed with soda water or sparkling wine, creating a visually appealing and popular celebratory drink of that era. I found this in the basement of a 100-year-old school building. It's a very large metal object with prominent vertical bars all around the main body. It doesn't appear to be making any noise or showing any signs of being in service. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as an industrial electrical transformer. Its function was to take high-voltage electricity from the main power grid and step it down to a lower, usable voltage for the building. The vertical bars are actually cooling tubes. The transformer's main tank is filled with a special mineral oil that absorbs the immense heat generated during operation. This hot oil circulates through the external tubes to dissipate the heat. Given its age, there is a strong possibility the oil contains polychlorinated biphenyls, or PCBs, a toxic insulating fluid banned in the United States in 1979. Even if it appears disconnected, units like this were rated for thousands of volts and should only be approached or removed by a qualified utility provider. I was at the optometrist for an exam and spotted this handle plugged into a wall station. I asked the staff about it, but surprisingly, no one in the room knew what it was. It looks like some kind of rechargeable power pack. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a rechargeable battery handle, typically for an ophthalmoscope or a retinoscope. This handle is both the power source and the grip for the diagnostic tools a doctor uses to examine a patient's eyes. The instrument head, containing the light and lenses, attaches directly to the top. When the examination is over, the doctor places the handle back into this wall-mounted charging station, which keeps the internal battery powered and ready for the next patient. This system eliminates disposable batteries and keeps critical tools organized and accessible. I saw this unusual vegetable on the sale rack at a local market. It has a very bumpy, wrinkled green skin, almost like a warty cucumber. I've never seen anything like it before. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a bitter gourd, also commonly called bitter melon. It is a staple ingredient in many South and Southeast Asian cuisines, and the name is very literal. The intense bitterness comes from chemical compounds, including one called momordican. Before being used in stir-fries or soups, it is often blanched or soaked in salt water to reduce the sharp flavor. It is prized in many cultures not just for its unique taste in cooking, but also for its use in traditional medicine. What is this plastic object? It appears to be a single piece of hinged plastic with two prominent blue buttons. It doesn't have any springs or complex parts. Does anyone know what it is? It's a fold and snap bag clip, sometimes called a chip clip. The design is simple but effective. The clip is placed over the folded top of a food bag, such as for chips or coffee. By pressing the two blue buttons together, the clip snaps securely shut, creating a tight seal to keep the contents fresh. It's a uniquely designed alternative to more common spring-loaded bag clips. I was sorting through a box of old tools and found this. The only marking on it is the part number white 160A. It has two cutting heads and what looks like a handle, but I can't figure out its purpose. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a sheet metal nibbler, a specialized attachment for an electric or pneumatic drill. It's designed for cutting metal without causing the bending or distortion that traditional shears can create. The drill's rotation powers an internal mechanism that moves a small punch up and down at high speed. This action nibbles out tiny pieces of metal, allowing the user to make very precise, clean cuts, even along tight curves. They are commonly used in auto body work, roofing, and HVAC installation to cut materials like steel and aluminum sheeting. I like checking out animal tracks in my yard on the east coast of Canada, and I found this strange impression in the snow a couple of days ago. It doesn't look like any animal I know of, and there's no trail leading to or from it. Does anyone know what it is? What you found are the landing tracks from a drone. When a multi-rotor drone lands in soft snow, its landing gear makes the initial small impressions. Then, upon takeoff, the propellers force a powerful column of air downwards. This downdraft blows away all the loose snow directly underneath the drone, leaving behind a sharp, well-defined pattern that matches the drone's shape. This is why there are no entry or exit tracks. The object arrived and departed vertically. What is this plastic object? It has a red basket on one end and a green mouthpiece on the other. When you place a small ball in the basket and blow, the ball floats steadily in the air above it. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a floating ball pipe, a classic toy designed to demonstrate a scientific concept called Bernoulli's principle. When you blow through the pipe, you create a column of fast-moving air. This fast-moving air has a lower pressure than the still, ambient air surrounding it. While the force of your breath pushes the ball upwards against gravity, the higher pressure air outside the stream constantly pushes the ball back towards the center, keeping it stable and suspended in mid-air. What is this electronic device? It's a box with multiple colored lenses on the front and a series of control dials. It has a distinct retro appearance but no screen or obvious function. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as an Electronica E104, a type of consumer device called a color organ. These were popular in the Soviet Union during the 1980s for creating home light shows. The device connects directly to an audio source like a stereo or tape player. Internal electronic filters separate the music into different frequency bands, such as bass, mid-range, and treble. Each frequency band is then used to control a light bulb behind a corresponding colored lens, causing the lights to flash and pulse in synchronization with the music. What are these strange clusters of lights seen on the ocean off the coast of Mumbai? Viewed from a plane or satellite, they look like a floating city, a massive collection of bright glowing spots on the otherwise dark water. Does anyone know what it is? What you're seeing is a massive fleet of fishing boats practicing a technique called light lure fishing. Each boat is equipped with powerful lamps that illuminate the water. This light attracts plankton and small bait fish, which in turn draw in larger, commercially valuable species like squid and tuna. The color of the light is often specifically chosen for the target catch. For example, bright green lights are highly effective for attracting squid, while other colors are used for different types of fish. This method creates the stunning and widespread glow visible from miles away. I saw this massive amount of bubbles during my morning run, and I have no idea where it came from. It's collecting along the edge of the water, but there isn't an obvious source. Does anyone know what it is? This is a large accumulation of foam, and it can have either a natural or a man-made cause. Naturally, foam is created when decaying organic matter, like algae, releases proteins and fats into the water. These compounds act as surfactants, similar to soap. When the water is agitated by wind or currents, they trap air and form bubbles. However, a sudden appearance of thick foam can also be a sign of pollution. Discharge from wastewater plants or industrial accidents can release detergents into the water, creating a similar effect that is often more dense and persistent than its natural counterpart. I bought a Hillshire Farms charcuterie board from Walmart, and my family loves the fig jam that comes with it. I have tried to find it online, but I can't. I even emailed the company with no reply, and the other fig jams I've bought just don't taste the same. Does anyone know what it is? This is a common issue with bundled food products. The fig jam included in the Hillshire Farms kit is likely produced by a third-party food manufacturer specifically for that product. Often these components are not packaged for individual retail sale, which is why you cannot find them on store shelves. While the exact supplier is proprietary information, it is not a product Hillshire Farms typically markets on its own. The unique taste you're looking for is specific to the recipe developed for that charcuterie board combination. My partner has a poster of characters from The Nightmare Before Christmas, and I have been staring at it trying to figure out who one specific character is. We spent about 20 minutes using image searches and checking character lists, but found absolutely nothing. At first, we thought it might be a background design that just looks like a face, but there are no other designs like it. Who is this supposed to be? This character is one of the haunted toys created in Halloween Town. During the musical number Making Christmas, the residents are shown building a variety of macabre gifts for Jack Skellington to deliver. These include well-known toys like the vampire teddy and the toy duck with bullet holes, but many others are shown for only a few seconds. Because these creations are often unnamed and have very little screen time, they rarely appear on official character lists, making them very difficult to identify. I found this sea creature in some tide pools during low tide in the Pacific Northwest. It looks like a reddish-brown lump, almost like a piece of meat, and is very firm to the touch. Does anyone know what it is? This creature is known as a gumboot chiton, the largest species of chiton in the world. What looks like a single piece of flesh is actually a leathery outer layer called a girdle, which completely hides the 8 articulated shell plates underneath. This structure allows the chiton to flex and conform to uneven rock surfaces, creating a powerful suction with its muscular foot to withstand crashing waves. It feeds by scraping algae off rocks using a tongue-like organ called a radula, which is covered in rows of teeth capped with magnetite, one of the hardest minerals produced by a living organism. A few years back, my mom made me eat this dish and claimed it was based on a real recipe. All I can remember are the soggy cucumbers and a distinct creamy, sour taste. She didn't use any expired ingredients, and she insisted it was a classic. Does anyone know what it is? This dish is known as Gurkensalat, or German cucumber salad. It is a traditional side dish, and the description matches perfectly. The creamy and sour flavor comes from a dressing typically made with sour cream or yogurt, mixed with white vinegar and fresh dill. The soggy texture of the cucumbers is an intentional part of the preparation. The cucumbers are sliced very thin, salted, and left to sit for about 30 minutes to draw out excess water. This process, called osmosis, softens them and prevents the final salad from becoming watery. I keep seeing these small, round stickers on the walls at my office, usually in hallways or near doorways. They don't seem to do anything, and there are no wires connected to them. Does anyone know what they are? This is a checkpoint tag for a security guard tour system. Inside the plastic casing is a passive electronic chip, typically using near-field communication, or NFC technology. Security personnel carry a handheld reader, and as they make their rounds, they are required to tap the device against each tag. This action instantly creates a time-stamped digital record proving the guard was at that specific location at that exact time. The system ensures that all key areas of a building are physically checked at regular intervals for security and insurance compliance. My mom found this hanging up behind a plate on the wall in her kitchen. It's a small metal tool, about 4.5 inches long, with a different-sized hook on each end. Does anyone know what it is? This object is a dual-ended removal tool for an automatic bread maker. Each hook serves a distinct purpose for handling hot components. The larger hook is designed to latch onto the wire handle of the bread pan, allowing you to lift the entire hot bucket out of the machine safely after baking. The smaller, sharper hook is used to extract the mixing paddle, which often gets baked into the bottom of the finished loaf of bread. Instead of damaging the loaf, you use the small hook to pull the paddle out cleanly. I boiled some brown eggs and added a little vinegar to the water. While rinsing them under the tap, I noticed the brown pigment was rubbing right off, revealing the white shell underneath. I've never seen this before. Does anyone know what is going on here? What you're observing is a chemical reaction between the vinegar and the eggshell. Eggshells are composed almost entirely of calcium carbonate. Vinegar contains acetic acid, which reacts with and dissolves calcium carbonate. The brown pigment in an eggshell, a compound known as protoporphyrin 9, is primarily located in the outermost layer of the shell, called the cuticle. When you boiled the egg, the acetic acid in the water began to dissolve this outer layer, weakening the structure that holds the pigment. This made the color easy to wipe off during rinsing. The more vinegar used, the more pronounced this effect will be. I'm eating a salad and notice this interesting vegetable. It's a bit crunchy and the leaves look like they are covered in tiny water dews or ice crystals. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a crystal ice plant, or more commonly, ice lettuce. Those shimmering droplets are not actually water, but are specialized transparent bladder cells on the surface of the leaves. These cells are filled with a saline solution. The plant is a type of succulent called a halophyte, which is adapted to grow in salty, coastal environments, native to regions like South Africa. When eaten, these cells burst, providing a unique crunchy texture and a slightly salty flavor, which has made it a popular ingredient in gourmet salads. I recently bought a house and was prepping a bedroom for painting when I noticed this. It's mounted high in the corner of the wall, about 2 inches tall with a rounded front. It has live electrical cables connected, and the front says Rauconet. My best guess is that it's part of an alarm system, but there are no other sensors anywhere else in the house. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a motion sensor from an old wired security system. The brand, Rauconet, was an Israeli company founded in 1978 that specialized in security devices before being acquired by the Risco Group. These sensors operate using passive infrared technology, which detects the body heat and movement of a person in the room. When a home is sold or renovated, it's common for outdated alarm systems to be decommissioned, but often a component like this is accidentally left behind on the wall. I found these small plastic rings while moving decorations with my roommate. They're rubbery and have some stretch to them. We found exactly 20 of them in a small bag, 4 each of red, yellow, green, orange, and black. As you can see from the wine cork for scale, they're quite small. Does anyone know what it is? What you found are replacement bands for a popular children's fidget toy. The toy itself is a simple frame with 2 joysticks, and these colored bands are stretched between pegs on those sticks. A user manipulates the joysticks to flip, twist, and maneuver the bands into different patterns. It's a quiet, tactile sensory tool designed to help with focus. Because the bands can wear out or get lost, they are often sold with replacement sets just like the one you found. They do look remarkably similar to elastrator bands used for castrating young livestock, but the toy bands are made from a less durable silicone material. I opened a bag of Ruffles potato chips and found this solid object mixed in. It's hard and lumpy and was in the bag when I opened it. How could this have happened during manufacturing? Does anyone know what it is? This is a concentrated ball of seasoning, In the factory, chips are flavored inside a large rotating drum called a tumbler. A fine powder of seasoning is sprayed onto the chips as they tumble to get an even coating. Occasionally, humidity or oil inside the tumbler can cause the seasoning powder to stick together, forming a small clump. As this clump rolls around with the chips, it picks up more and more powder, eventually becoming a large, hard ball. These are normally sifted out during quality control, but one has made it into your bag. My friend brought these cookies back from a holiday fair, but didn't have the original box. They're about 1.5 to 2 inches in diameter, with a buttery, crumbly texture. The interesting part is the filling. It's a thin layer of caramel, but it's baked completely inside the cookie, not sandwiched between two layers. They came two per plastic sleeve, with the sleeves connected together in a long strip. Does anyone know what it is? This is a type of Latin American cookie known as an alfajor relleno. While many are familiar with sandwich-style alfajores, this specific version involves wrapping the shortbread dough around a center of dulce de leche, or caramel, and then baking it as a single, filled pastry. The name relleno simply means filled in Spanish. The packaging, with sealed sleeves connected in a long strip, is a common method used for commercially produced and imported bulk cookies of this type. I received this as a gift many years ago. I always assumed it was some kind of decorative hair clip, but I could never figure out how it was meant to be worn. I tried to look it up, but without knowing the name, I had no success. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a roach clip. It's a small clamp, often with alligator-style teeth, designed to hold the end of a hand-rolled cigarette after it has burned down too short to be held by hand. This allows the user to smoke it to the very end without burning their fingers. While simple metal versions exist, decorative clips like this one, often featuring beads or feathers, became very popular starting in the 1960s and 70s. Their ornate appearance is why they are so commonly mistaken for hair accessories or jewelry. I used a piece of transparent tape to pick up dust from my bedsheet and then observed it under a microscope. I found a lot of these squiggly, thin lines on the tape. They are not moving, so I hope they are just fibers from the bedsheet fabric. Does anyone know what it is? What you found are indeed fibers from your bedsheets. The ribbon-like strands are exactly what cotton and polyester fibers look like at high magnification. The process of weaving, and everyday use, causes microscopic strands to shed from the fabric. Along with these fibers, the tape has also picked up common particles like dust and skin flakes, which is completely normal for any household environment. While it can be surprising to see our daily surroundings at this scale, there is nothing unusual here. I found this lighter in an antique shop, and it has an aggressive phrase engraved on it that I was concerned might have a racist meaning. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a lighter engraved with a phrase that was very common in the US military, especially during the Vietnam War. This type of personal engraving was a frequent practice for soldiers and Marines, who would modify their gear, particularly Zippo lighters and helmets, with slogans and personal mottos. The phrase, "Kill 'em all," was a form of grim battlefield bravado. While jarring to see today, it reflected the harsh realities and psychological mindset of soldiers in a combat zone, and is not associated with a specific racial ideology. These lighters are now considered historical artifacts from that period. My brother recently bought a house, and this hollow copper sphere has been attached to the top of a pole in the yard since he moved in. It's somewhere between the size of a softball and a basketball. Neither of us know what it's for. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a key component of a lightning protection system, specifically an air terminal, also known as a diverter. Contrary to popular belief, these devices don't attract lightning. Instead, they are designed to provide a safe and controlled path for a lightning strike to travel to the ground. If lightning strikes nearby, the conductive copper sphere intercepts the charge. The immense electrical energy is then channeled down the pole, or a connected cable, and harmlessly dissipated into the earth through a grounding rod. This prevents the current from passing through the house itself, which could cause a fire or destroy the electrical infrastructure. I saw this strange installation at a park in Germany. It's a collection of tall, thin poles, each topped with what looks like a large metal spoon. They're arranged in a grid, almost like a metallic forest. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as the baffled, which translates to spoon forest. It is a kinetic sound sculpture located in the Rheinauer Leisure Park in Bonn, Germany. Created by artist Hermann Josef Rumpf for the 1979 Federal Garden Show, the installation is designed to interact with the environment. Each metal spoon is carefully balanced on its pole, allowing it to pivot and rotate freely. When the wind blows, the spoons swing around and strike one another, creating a distinctive, echoing clatter that changes with the wind's strength and direction. I'm trying to identify this plumbing in my house, which was built in 2005. There is a T-fitting coming off the main water line with a capped pipe pointing straight up. It doesn't seem to be connected to anything. What was this originally for, and is something missing? Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a stub-out, which is a pre-plumbed connection point for a thermal expansion tank for your water heater. When water is heated in a closed plumbing system, it expands. This thermal expansion dramatically increases the pressure inside the pipes and the water heater itself, which can damage seals and fixtures over time. An expansion tank is a small secondary tank that contains a rubber bladder surrounded by compressed air. As the water expands, it pushes into this tank against the bladder, and the air cushion safely absorbs the excess pressure. Many building codes adopted around the early 2000s require these connection points to be installed by builders, even if a tank is not installed at the time of construction. A user posted a picture of a striking figure, clad in black leather with stark white and black face paint. The user simply asks, "Does anyone know who this character is?" This character is known as the Crow. Created by artist James O'Barr, the Crow first appeared in a comic book series published in 1989. The story follows Eric Draven, a musician who is resurrected by a supernatural crow to avenge his own murder and that of his fiancée. The character gained widespread fame with the 1994 film adaptation, which became a cult classic, tragically notable for the accidental on-set death of its star, Brandon Lee. We found this built into our basement in a house constructed before 1918. It appears to be made of concrete with a wood top and is capped with a cement block. It looks newer than the rest of the foundation, and we know it isn't a sump pump. Does anyone know what it is? This is the concrete encasement for an early home electrical system, most likely a Delco light plant. Before rural electrification connected most homes to the power grid, many relied on their own generators. Starting in 1916, the Dayton Engineering Laboratories Company, or Delco, produced systems that used a small gasoline engine to charge a bank of large, glass jar batteries. This concrete structure was built to safely contain those batteries, which were filled with sulfuric acid and lead plates. When the home was eventually connected to the main grid, the generator and hazardous batteries were removed, leaving only this empty foundation behind. I spotted this peculiar little creature at a flea market in London. It's a small, blue, furry, worm-like figure with a bright red scarf. It has a friendly face, but I have no idea where it's from. Does anyone know what it is? This is a replica of the character simply known as the Worm from the 1986 fantasy film, Labyrinth. Directed by Jim Henson and starring David Bowie, the movie is renowned for its unique creature designs by artist Brian Froud. In the film, this character greets the protagonist with a friendly "Allo" and invites her inside for a cup of tea. He is one of the first friendly creatures she meets inside the maze and has since become a fan-favorite character from the cult classic. I was driving when I spotted a car with this very unusual license plate. It doesn't look like a standard issue plate from any state I recognize. Does anyone know what it is? This is a dealer plate, sometimes referred to as a trade plate. These special plates are issued by a state's Department of Motor Vehicles directly to licensed automobile dealerships. The system allows a dealer to legally operate any of their unregistered vehicles on public roads for specific purposes, like test drives or transporting a car between lots. Instead of registering and insuring every car in their inventory individually, this single plate extends the dealership's registration and insurance to whichever car it is attached to at the time. Which of these items surprised you the most? Or maybe you have one of them in your own garage? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed learning something new today, please hit like and subscribe to support the channel. Thanks for watching.